Hello, my name is Rob and welcome to Metal Monthly. This is a video series where we talk about everything that happened in metal music over the past month. Normally I have a beer, but I forgot to go to the shop, but I have had coffee, can you tell? Let's jump straight into it with the albums that were released in September 2021. Number 1, Iron Maiden, Senjutsu. Yes, Iron Maiden have released their first studio album in 6 years, and it's the first album since Bruce Dickinson was diagnosed with throat cancer, so it's kind of amazing that they got an album out at all. I am a massive fan of Iron Maiden, you may have been able to tell. They were like my first obsession with music as a kid. I have basically all of their albums, huge fan. So the album is more orchestral and it's more of a concept album, like the way they seem to be going. It's not full of like individual hit songs like The Trooper or Run to the Hills, but I still quite enjoyed it. There are still some really good songs there. The song Stratego has some really funky riffs and it's probably my favourite song on the album. Overall, it is still a high quality Iron Maiden album, it's just not full of the stuff they made in the 80s. I'd still say give it a try if you love Iron Maiden, and let's face it, who doesn't? Next up, Carcass with Torn Arteries. I think I've seen Carcass at a music festival a few years ago. I was trying to impress a girl, she turned out to be horrible, and I don't remember enjoying the band that much. But listening to this album, I really enjoyed it. Maybe my tastes have changed. It's death metal, so it's very fast guitar and drums and some very rough vocals, but they're still just about recognisable as lyrics. I actually ended up enjoying this album a lot more than I thought I would, and like the title song, Torn Arteries, was in my head all day. I'd just be sat there doing some work and then I'd just go, Torn Arteries! Out of nowhere. It was weird. It's a really good album. That's it. End of segment. Next up, Alien Weaponry, Tangaroa. Okay, so this album is a mix of heavy metal and Maori tribal music. It's got chanting and very slow, heavy drums, but it's still recognisable as metal, so it's kind of accessible. It's very strange, it's different, but if you want to try something new, check it out. I quite enjoyed it. And finally we have We Butter the Bread with Butter with Das Album. Obviously I checked this band out just because of that band name. It's so good. So this is a German deathcore band that mixes in some electronica as well, and it ends up being really, really good. The band started out as a joke, can you tell? Their band name is We Butter the Bread with Butter. But they started out as a joke making metal versions of German fairy tales, so kind of like the metal version of Hayseed Dixie. But then they just ended up making serious metal music as well, and now they've ended up with this album, and it's really good. It's bouncy, heavy music, and it's infectious with its riffs and hooks. I will be listening to them a lot more. Next up we have musician deaths. This is the part of the video where we remember and honour the metal musicians who have passed away over the past month. At the time of recording in September, there were 2 metal musicians who passed away. On September the 3rd, Jochen Schroeder, the former guitarist of Rage, passed away. And Status Quo may not exactly be metal, but I think it's just right that we remember Alan Lancaster, the ex-bassist and founder of Status Quo, who sadly passed away on the 26th of September. Next up we have Music Festival Explorer. This is my website where I write about music festivals and stuff. This month I have just managed to get out a blog post about the history of the Isle of Wight Music Festival. I meant to get it out before the festival, that didn't happen. If you fancy giving that a read, there is a link in the description. I'd really appreciate it. And now finally we have the fun stories from September. They are stories that are fun that happened in September. First up, Corey Taylor's son and Sean Crane's son have started a band together. They are called Vended and they have recently released their first single, Asylum. They also recently opened at Knotfest, which makes sense. They take a lot of cues from Slipknot, which, I mean, obviously, but they are distinct from Slipknot. They have some really good riffs and they're just good. I'd suggest checking them out. The next story is about Skillet. They are a Christian rock band in America, so you're forgiven for not knowing who the fuck they are. Anyway, their lead singer John Cooper has recently come out as an anti-vaxxer. Now this isn't entirely surprising, he has previously come out as being anti-masks and pro-Trump, but in coming out as an anti-vaxxer, he used the most amazing phrase. He said, the science means nothing to me. I got 0 poops for the science, which is hilariously funny and stupid. So anyway, the overall point is don't listen to this Christian rock band that you probably weren't going to anyway. And finally, we're going back to Corey Taylor for a minute because I'm sure you've all heard about Machine Gun Kelly trying to diss Slipknot on stage and it didn't go very well. I wanted to talk about it. So he said that he's very glad he's not a 50-year-old guy in a mask on a stage, which isn't the most cutting insult, and it didn't go down very well. And do you know why? It's because people quite like Slipknot. Now, did Corey Taylor start this feud by calling out MGK for changing music genres? Maybe, but like, it wasn't that bad of an insult. Get over it. The point is that Machine Gun Kelly wildly overestimated how much people like him and wildly underestimated how much people like Slipknot. And the drama continues with them having a Twitter war against each other, and basically Machine Gun Kelly keeps coming off as the worst person here, and it's really funny to watch. Anyway, that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching this video. There are links in the description to all of the things I have talked about. Please do check them out, including my website, Music Festival Explorer. My name is Rob, and I will see you next month.